Now let's talk about toxic empathy. Toxic empathy is when you care more about others' feelings than your own. You may be codependent and have loose or rigid boundaries. You may have a mental illness, had childhood trauma. Do you have a hard time making time for yourself because you're so used to putting everybody's needs in front of yours? Are you more concerned about how people will think and feel about you? When someone does you wrong and you stand up for yourself, do you worry about the other person's feelings? Do you love people unconditionally who conditionally love you? You may have toxic empathy. Sometimes we are too loyal, too trustworthy, compassionate, and generous to people who have shown us they do not value our feelings. But because we are good people, we continue to treat them better than they treat us because of toxic empathy. Coming from a dysfunctional family, there was always a crisis. Always. I grew up visiting my great grandmother's house, where it felt like my grandma, her three adult children and two younger children lived there. My aunt, who had 9 children and one died, lived there. And the only person who didn't live there was my mother. And my great grandma felt responsible for all of them at the expense of herself. This is toxic empathy. She passed down toxic empathy to my grandmother, my mother, and then me. There is nothing wrong with having empathy. It is when it's at the expense of your emotions, mental, financial, physical, and spiritual needs that it becomes toxic. Are you exhausted, drained, overwhelmed, unappreciated, burnt out, empty, numb? You might suffer from toxic empathy.